Global Farmer Network is all about amplifying farmers' voices and stories. And we here at the Global Farmer Network are so excited to be able to continue to support farmers' voices worldwide. Hello, I'm Delaney Howell, and today the Global Farmer Network is proud to announce the expansion of staff roles and leadership efforts into Africa, underscoring the organization's commitment to amplifying voices of farmers, promoting free trade, technology, sustainable farming practices, economic growth, and ensuring food security. We're just so excited that the Global Farmer Network is officially expanding its presence into Africa. And I want to dig more into that and some of your role that you'll be playing there as we expand into Africa. How did you first get involved or learn about the Global Farmer Network?
Definitely through connections. Ever since I started farming, one thing that I wanted to do was to share my story with the world using social media. So I used to share my journey, my challenges, my battles, and it used to reach out to lots of people. And then I got connected by Nyasha Mdukuti. She is a Global Farmer Network Global Farmer Network member from Zimbabwe. So she connected me. So she sent me a message using on Facebook, and she said to me that, would you be interested in applying for the Global Farmer Network? And I looked it up and I thought, oh, sounds very prestigious. I would be, but I'm not sure if I qualify. I was just still starting my farming journey, still had lots of battles, and I was seeing all these other bigger commercial farmers than me. And then she nominated me, and I was fortunate to be chosen. And at the time when Mary reached out to me, I was actually in Iowa, and she's like, oh, greetings from Iowa. I was attending the Mandela Washington Fellowship in Iowa City. And then I flew back to Zimbabwe after 6 weeks. And a few weeks later, I flew back to Des Moines for the roundtable. So it's been a journey. And I would say one of my most transformational experiences. Why I say that is because it gave me experience to see farming in a different way. You see, I've been a member of different organizations in Zimbabwe, Southern Africa, mainly in Africa, and most of our conversations are very similar. So we have similar challenges, and we are sometimes stuck we don't understand or know what we should do to move forward. But when you meet, and most of the times also because we're first generation farmers, a lot of us, or we're coming from communal backgrounds where we don't understand commercial farming. And then when you go to a platform like the Global Farmer Network, you get to meet farmers who have had six generation farming. So they maybe their first and second went through experiences that we are going through. And then you also get to understand and learn from more experienced farmers who have access to technology. When I joined the Global Farmer Network, I was looking at putting in center pivot irrigation. And when I connected with Kim, she also then introduced me to Valley and all the way back to Valley, Zimbabwe. So it's through those connections where you start to talk to various stakeholders, even stakeholders we're talking to today, might not be present in Zimbabwe yet or in lots of parts of Africa, but have interest, but just don't know how. So it's about creating that leverage and being able to share information that you cannot find elsewhere.
Yeah, I love the knowledge transfer that the Global Farmer Network has. And it doesn't matter if you're a small stakeholder farmer or you have a huge commercial farm, there's something that we can learn from each other. And the challenges and opportunities, I think, are very similar, maybe on different scales, but very similar, regardless of where you're located and what you farm. But with that being said, how are you planning to engage stakeholders in Africa, and what will your role entail as a regional director in Africa?
So in terms of engaging, I'm already working with stakeholders in Africa. I attend a lot of conferences. I speak at a lot of platforms. I'm part of many organizations. So I think something that I see as an opportunity is the Global Farmer Network is an opportunity to consolidate a lot of those different networks. And being able to create a place where we can all discuss the pertinent issues in Zimbabwe, in Africa, in Nigeria, in Angola. So I think that is something that I see myself playing an active role in creating that support for farmers in various places to be able to have their voices heard. Like I mentioned earlier, many times we have people who speak for us, but having the opportunity to create a place where farmers' voices are heard and farmers speak for themselves, being able to leverage that knowledge and transfer it also to our stakeholders. Because some of the challenges we haven't solved today is because there is just a disconnect from the farmers and the value chain and the stakeholders and the policymakers. We really need to have strong voices that speak into that. We really need to have a way of consolidating all the stuff we're doing, various conferences we're speaking at. How do we actually consolidate all that and create a strong global farmer network in Africa? And being able to also leverage on experiences from other continents as well, and bringing that knowledge, because we always talk. When I went last year to Rwanda to create a manifesto for the young farmers in Africa, we always talk about the importance of knowledge transfer, but how does it happen when we don't know who else can then transfer that knowledge to us? So having platforms like Global Farmer Network is a great opportunity to create those synergies and that transfer and those support to support each other, because at the end of the day, we're all wanting to produce food to feed the continent, and we're all on the continent and the world as well. So we're all living on one earth. So we need to support each other.
I love that. So Patience, as part of your role as regional director, what are you going to be focused on doing in Africa? How are you going to be engaging stakeholders?
Okay, so essentially for me is the fact that having been a member of the GFN for many years, I've realized the tremendous value that the GFN holds in terms of knowledge, right? So I'm not sure that there's any one place in the world where we hold such a diverse knowledge bank. And so for me, living and working in a continent that is so far behind, I see that there is so much value that the GFN can bring in terms of knowledge. And peer-to-peer learning is so vital, right? Because the person has been there and you're basically walking a road that people have walked. And so getting you to take the right path is easier when the person who is leading you has been there. And so I see that there's this opportunity for the GFN to make tremendous impact. And not because there haven't been people who have tried to make impact, but because it is more, you can do more when you are a real and actual farmer. And so you find that whenever farmers drive change by themselves, they are more likely to succeed, right? Than someone who thinks that they know what farmers need, driving that change. And I think that that has just always been the missing link for us. And so I see that as the regional lead for the GFN in Africa, I can be that bridge, that will cause the GFN to be able to seamlessly work in Africa and immediately begin to bring, very, very obvious and tangible change.
So as you think about the issues that you can help raise and share with other farmers in Southern Africa, what are some of those topics that you will be focusing on here in the near future?
So we're focusing on access to markets this year, because marketing is something that we haven't figured out, especially horticulture marketing. So you'll find that many farmers are losing produce every year because they don't know where to sell it, yet there are areas that need the food and then have to import from other continents, yet we can feed ourselves. We have policies that are in place that have been put in place for us to trade. People are not trading. So we need to start important conversations as farmers. It's good that this is a platform for farmers, as farmers, to see what is the missing link here and what can we do to move forward. At the same time, it's not just only conversations amongst farmers, but we also have stakeholders as well as people who are interested in supporting these initiatives, coming together with us and creating concrete ideas and solutions, and being a platform where we are action-based. We're not just discussing, like, you go to so many conferences, you sit there and you discuss and it stops there. But the Global Farmer Network will be action-based. So we'll be able to then say, okay, this came out. What are our action steps? How we move forward? We're going to reach out to. Next time when we report, we have concrete solutions and things that we've already started doing, some things that we've already started moving. And I agree. I believe that, that's how we start. We one step at a time.
You mentioned making an impact, and I love that. And Ruramiso is focusing on marketing. What's your focus going to be?
I think my biggest focus is on, maybe because I am such a production fan, my main focus would be just basically working through the value chain, but starting at production, right? Because where we end up at the end of the day is determined by what we are able to produce. And I'll give you an example. Farmers in Nigeria still grow corn and get yields of like 2 tons per hectare. Whereas in many countries, we're talking 10 and upwards tons per hectare. And so it's just the fact that the knowledge isn't there, and many times if you don't know what you need, it's difficult, because if you do have that knowledge, that if I farm this way, if I did no-till, or if I use the right seeds, or just all of those kind of things would definitely make the farmer more productive. And so I think that focusing on the entire value chain, but primarily with production, which is where most of us farmers are, we could quickly increase the amount of food that's grown on the continent, and immediately we'll be tackling food security and world hunger issues.
And it just seems like, we've talked about Africa being this emerging market for so long. And I know that it's a huge continent. There's lots of moving pieces, and different parts of Africa look different, compared to others. But what excites you most about the future of Africa and the role that it will play in agriculture?
So what excites me is the opportunity that is there, that has not been tapped, that is dying to be unlocked. So it really excites me because I can see it. It's really in the near future. I really can see, because, there's so many young people. When we look at the statistics, the amount of young people going into agriculture is increasing. People are becoming interested. You find people who have studied medicine, people who are in law, various careers, looking at agriculture as a great potential, which was unlike some time ago. Agriculture was looked upon as a career for people who have nothing else to do, or who are not excelling in school, but it's now seen, it's very prestigious. And this is through storytelling, through sharing, through people meeting the farmers and understanding the potential it has. And we look at Africa, the population is going to increase. We have the youngest population, in the world. Africa holds the youngest people. So there is so much, and young people are now embracing technology. So unlike long time ago when it was a struggle to share information, but now we have access to tools, and these tools, scaling them up. And there's lots of young people who are, every day I'm meeting new people who are developing different solutions using ICT. So I think definitely there's so much that's going to come out of Africa, and the future is really going to be very bright.
And Patience, what excites you most about the future of Africa? What kind of impact does it hold for the world?
Oh, Africa has tremendous impact. And I say this to everyone that cares to listen, right? That Africa is the next frontier, and not only because of our population, but because of the fact that we have such a youthful population, which is a plus and a benefit. And we're a huge market, both for ourselves and for other people, right? And so just getting Africa on the right track is beneficial to everybody. Africa is, imagine how many billion people would be in 2050. In Nigeria, currently, we're over 200 million, and we're growing very fast. And so I think that Africa, for ourselves and for everyone else, holds so much opportunity to do a lot, whether in terms of making impact and bringing change, whether it's in terms of trade, or whatever focus it is, where I think that we are the next frontier. And so watch out for Africa.
Well, I'm excited to just see what you are able to do together to increase the impact of Africa. And I think it's going to be amazing what we see happening in 5, 10, 15 years from now.